As a financial advisor, I had spent a large part of my career watching people, including very smart people, leave enormous amounts of money on the table because they didn't know the ask was possible. They assumed the first number was the final number. The whole premise of modern consumer finance is that you will assume the brochure is the truth. The hacks in this episode all exist in the space between the brochure and the reality. Your job is to now close that gap. Hello friends, this is Tyler Gardner welcoming you to another episode of your Money Guide on the Side, where it is my job to simplify what seems complex, add nuance to what seems simple, and learn from and alongside some of the brightest minds in money, finance, and investing. So let's get started and get you one step closer to where you need to be. Quick note before we get into it, June's pre-order incentive for my book, Real Wealth, is the most personal thing I've ever agreed to share. Pre-order in June and submit your receipt at tylergardner.com and you'll get an exclusive 3-episode audio series that will never appear on this feed. 3 pivotal moments in my own financial life. The humbling one, the embarrassing one, and the one that made me rethink everything. 3 episodes, 3 moments, tylergardner.com, pre-order, submit your receipt, get the episodes delivered digitally in early July, and receive every additional monthly incentive between now and the book's release on December 1st. And now, on to today's episode. Last week, I spent approximately 51 minutes on the phone with Xfinity. 51 minutes. I know this because I was staring at the microwave clock the entire time, and by the end, I had memorized every scuff mark on our kitchen floor, including one shaped shockingly like Rhode Island. I was threatening to cancel. Now, I wasn't actually going to cancel. The nearest alternative provider is a guy named Dave who runs fiber out of a barn, but I knew the script. You call, you say the magic word, you get transferred to a human being in a cubicle somewhere who has, crucially, access to a pricing tier that does not exist on any website, in any brochure, or in any known universe. Her name was Melanie, and that 51-minute call will save me $43 a month for the next year. I now owe Melanie, at the very least, a Christmas card. My wife Stephanie walked in around minute 32 and found me on hold, pacing, eating saltines directly out of the sleeve, while Dixie, one of the bloodhounds, who has the emotional intelligence of a therapist and the physical coordination of a folding chair, watched me with what I can only describe as pity. At one point, Melanie put me on hold, and I'm pretty sure I could hear Dixie sigh. But here's the thing. I saved $516 a year in 51 minutes. That works out to about $650 an hour, 100% tax-free. This whole episode is about that phone call, and 12 other money moves like it. Today, we're going to have some fun and explore 13 money hacks that most people don't know about, grouped into 4 categories, held together by one very simple and overarching idea, which is that almost every one of these hacks exists because the company on the other end is betting that you won't ask. So if you need to go right now and you want the one key takeaway from today's episode, I'll spoil it right now. The entire hack is asking. And as I live into my philosophy as much as I can, here's a familiar ask for you. If you have found the show helpful in any way, if you've shared it with a friend, or learned something new about the markets, or investing, or how you think about your own values, would you please consider leaving a review on Apple or Spotify? It helps other people find the show, it helps the show grow, and it helps me spread the word about asking for a discount so more money is getting put back into your pockets so you can invest it in a low-cost, broad-based index fund and be one step closer to where you need to be. All right, let's get into it. Act 1. I call this section the phone call hacks. The following is a list of my favorite money hacks that you can fix with a phone if, and I say this genuinely understanding we're in an era where nobody under the age of 50 picks up their dang phone anymore, you can stomach the phone. Hack number 1, the cancellation retention gambit. Here's how it works, and I explored this in the intro. You call whoever it is, Xfinity, SiriusXM, your gym, your cell provider, any software subscription. And the one nobody knows about, your home and auto insurance. You tell the first person you speak to that you want to cancel. You do not negotiate. You do not argue. You do not ask for a deal. You just say, I'm calling to cancel. They will transfer you. They will transfer you because every company like this has a department called retention, although it sometimes has other names. Loyalty, customer care, member services. And that department's entire job is to keep you from walking out the door or disconnecting your satellite radio, if you will. Retention agents have a completely different pricing sheet than anyone else in the company. It is not public. You cannot find it online. It exists only on their screen, and they will only deploy it when they believe they are about to lose you. At Geico and Progressive, the retention desk can knock 15 to 20% off your premium without changing your coverage. At most gyms, you can get 3 to 6 months free. At SiriusXM, and I cannot stress this enough, they will drop your rate from whatever you're paying to a free year if you press it enough. They treat SiriusXM pricing the way a rug merchant treats a rug. The posted price is simply a starting offer. But here's the key here. You have to actually sound like you're leaving. You don't have to yell. You don't have to be rude. You just have to sound bored and decided, like you've already emotionally left and you're just handling paperwork. Additionally, and this is the pro tip of pro tips, do not accept their first discount. More often than not, there are about 3 or 4 levels of discounts they can give you to retain you. Again, the principle being that it is far cheaper for them to keep you at a discount than to lose you as a customer. How do I know this? Because I've successfully completed this performative hack myself about 20 times in my life to date. Now, how far will they go? Well, just ask my father. Last week, as I pointed this hack out to him years ago, and he loves seeing how low he can get some of these companies, he hopped on a call to tell Company A that he was going to cancel. After staying strong through the first round of saying no to the company's first discount, they actually asked him the following, which I have personally never heard, but should prove to all of you how far they're willing to go. They asked him, well, sir, how much are you willing to pay per month? So not wanting to be a complete ding-dong, he said $4 a month. And just like that, he's happily retained customer for $4 a month. Now, if you are uncomfortable lying, I would gently point out that you are not necessarily lying. You are expressing a preference contingent on price, which is the foundation of every economic transaction since the invention of money. It's fine, and they expect these negotiations, and the price of not making these calls is enormous. Hack number 2. Call your auto insurance every 18 months. Not every year. Every year is too often. Nothing has changed in the market enough to matter, and you burn a weekend of your life for a $10 improvement. But also not every 3 years, because you're leaving real money on the table, because rate tables drift more than you think. I have found that 18 months tends to be the sweet spot. Long enough that your driving record has a fresh look, long enough that a new entrant has probably moved into your market, and long enough that your current insurer's actuarial assumptions have shifted against you. You shop 3 competitors, you take the lowest quote back to your current company, and you let them match it or beat it. If they won't, and sometimes they won't, because the retention desk can only go so low, you can leave. I've done this 4 times as an adult. Average annual savings, roughly $300. That's $1,500 over 5 years, which is, among other things, a very nice weekend at a hotel that I wouldn't normally book. Hack number 3, the medical bill itemization request. Any hospital bill over $500. And who are we kidding? Almost every hospital bill these days is over $500 because now that's what they charge for a styrofoam cup of ice water. I want you to request an itemized bill in writing. Note, you have to get it in writing. Here's some data that unfortunately should tick you off. Consumer advocacy studies and audits have found that roughly 80% of itemized hospital bills contain errors. 80, almost always in the hospital's favor. This is not some conspiracy. This is because medical coding is done by human beings, often at great scale, at the end of a very long shift, and the system is built such that errors in the patient's favor get caught very quickly, while errors in the hospital's favor get caught approximately never. You, my friends, are officially now the Quality Assurance Department. You just didn't know you had the job. Once you have the itemized bill, go through it line by line. You will eventually find duplicates. You might find charges for services you didn't receive. You will definitely at some point find Motrin billed to you at $87, which, even accounting for the dramatic markup of American healthcare, is still absurd. Now, you might have heard that one before, but here's one that most people I know don't know, and one that has personally saved me thousands. This is the second part of the healthcare hack. After you've disputed the errors, I want you to ask for the cash pay or prompt pay discount. Hospitals will routinely knock 20 to 40% off a bill if you ask and pay within 30 days. Now, this is partly disturbing as it indicates how few people actually pay their hospital bills and that they'd rather have cash in hand at a discount than cash in hand, well, never. But it does work, and I think you'd be foolish not to at least ask what it's worth to get them cash flow immediately. For most billing departments, this request is not seen as a headache, but as a massive relief. You will actually become their favorite cheap customer because the cost of collections is brutal. They would rather get 70 cents on the dollar today than spend 18 months chasing you for the full amount. This is not a secret, it is just not advertised. So once again, ask. I have personally cut a medical bill from $1,100 to $640 by doing exactly this. It took one phone call, one email confirmation. The phone call was to a person whose voice, I'm not making this up, was so bored it made me feel bored for them. But she processed it, she gave a great discount, and then she thanked me for my timely attention to this matter. All three of our first hacks have the same shape. You pick up the phone, or you pick up your laptop and write the email, and you ask a company to do a thing they are allowed to do, but don't do unless asked. If I could make anyone listening do this one single thing after this episode, it would just be this: just ask. Every week, build a muscle around asking. This episode is brought to you by Keeper. Full confession, I have a sticky note on the inside of my desk drawer with passwords written on it in pen. Like a person who has fully given up. My wife found it just last month and looked at me the way you look at someone who just admitted they've never flossed. Disappointment, but not surprise. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is it's an overwhelming system to begin with. The average person has north of 100 online accounts, and strong passwords look like a cat just walked across a keyboard during a thunderstorm. Nobody is memorizing capital N, lowercase o, capital V, 3M, BR, T, exclamation point, XQ94 for their dental insurance portal. So we pick one password we can remember, slap a different number on the end, and tell ourselves it's probably fine. It is not probably fine. One breach and that recycled password unlocks everything. Your email, your brokerage, your bank. It's not one domino, it's the whole rack. Keeper generates strong, unique passwords for every account, stores them in one encrypted vault, and logs you in automatically across your devices. You remember one master password, Keeper handles the rest. And right now, Keeper is offering my listeners 60% off personal and family plans at keepersecurity.com/Tyler. This offer is only for you, our podcast listeners. That's keepersecurity.com/Tyler for 60% off personal and family plans. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. keepersecurity.com/Tyler. This episode is brought to you by Bilt. You've heard me talk about Bilt as the loyalty program that lets you earn points on rent wherever you live, and they just leveled up even more. As of 2026, homeowners can also earn up to 1.25x points on their mortgage payments. This is thanks to Bilt's 3 new credit cards: the Palladium card, Obsidian card, and Blue card. All 3 turn your housing payments, rent, or mortgage into flexible rewards. so you can choose the card that fits your lifestyle without missing out on points and exclusive benefits. Bilt points can be redeemed at top airlines and hotels, Amazon.com purchases, future rent payments, and more. Bilt points have also been ranked by top publications as the industry's most valuable point currency. Your housing payment is already your biggest expense. Make it your most rewarding. Find the card that fits your lifestyle and apply it today at joinbilt.com/Tyler. That's joinbilt.com/Tyler, and make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Terms and limitations apply. Subject to approval and eligibility, Bilt cards are issued by Column NA, member FDIC, pursuant to license from MasterCard International Incorporated. Act 2. The tax codes. Before I get into these, a brief confession. As many of you know, I used to be a financial advisor, licensed, credentialed, the whole kit. Most of you know this. I wore a tie to work. I sat in offices with wood paneling that I believe was selected by a committee in 1987 and never revisited. And in my time doing that job, the single most underutilized feature of the American tax code by a country mile was the health savings account. Not the HSA everyone knows about, the spend it on Band-Aids HSA, the other HSA. The one that, deployed correctly, is basically the best retirement account in America, and almost nobody uses it that way. So hack 4, front load your HSA, then leave it alone. Here's the move. If you're on a high deductible health plan, and this is a big if because not everyone is and it's not necessarily right for everyone, but if you are, you can contribute to a health savings account. The federal limit in 2026 is $4,400 for individuals and $8,750 for families. That money goes in pre-tax, it grows tax-free, and it can be invested, and most HSA custodians let you put it in index funds after a certain threshold. And here's the part that very few people know. If you use the money on a qualified medical expense, the withdrawal is also tax-free. Pre-tax in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. So that's a triple tax advantage. No other account in the American retirement system has that. Not a 401k, not a Roth IRA, definitely not your annuities. But even knowing that, here's how most people use the HSA. They put money in, they pay their medical bills out of the HSA, perfectly fine because that captures most of the advantage. But here's how a smaller number of people use it. They max the HSA every year, they pay their medical bills out of pocket, out of their checking account, they save all the receipts, CVS, dentist, specialist, optometrist, everything, and they let the HSA grow, invested in index funds, tax-free for 20 to 30 years. Then, in retirement, or whenever the heck you want, once the HSA has had years or decades to take advantage of uninterrupted compounding, they reimburse themselves for those decades-old medical expenses tax-free at any time. There is no statute of limitations on HSA reimbursement. A dental cleaning you paid for in 2026 can be reimbursed from your HSA in 2056. The IRS doesn't care. They just want to make sure you have the receipt. So what I would do is take a photo of each receipt and stick it somewhere in the cloud. What you've done is turn your HSA into the best retirement account you could ever ask for. You've taken an account meant for medical expenses and turned it into tax-free retirement money by the simple trick of deferring the reimbursement. Now, again, I'm not assuming we all have access to an HSA, and I'm definitely not assuming that we can all do this and max it out. But if you do have the cash flow to front load it without dipping into it, I would suggest you do this. Because this is a hack, I wish I'd started doing it at 25. My HSA would have several $100,000 in it by now. Instead, I used mine at 25, probably to buy Claritin. Hack 5, the Roth conversion in a gap year. Let me start with this. I didn't fully appreciate Roth contributions until I was making too much money to contribute to one. And now it's kind of too late for me to take advantage of it. I know, cry me a river, Tyler. But if you have a low income year, sabbatical, layoff, parental leave, starting a business, early retirement, year between jobs, that's the year of note. And I want you to note that you don't have to wait until you retire to take advantage of a Roth conversion gap year. It's sold to most people that they should do it between early retirement and 73, but I would suggest there are far better opportunities earlier in your life and career. Anyway, here's what's happening. You have money in the traditional IRA or 401k, as stats say most of us do. That money was deposited pre-tax, which means at some point has to come out and be taxed. But you can convert it, move it dollar for dollar into a Roth IRA where it will never be taxed again. The catch is the year that you convert, the conversion counts as ordinary income. So if you do the Roth conversion in a normal year when your salary is 6 figures plus, you can get hammered. It might not be worth it at all, as the conversion stacks on top of your regular income and much of it gets taxed at your highest marginal rate, which is probably 24 or 32%. But if you do a Roth conversion in a gap year, when your salary is 0 or close to it, which many of us do actually experience in our lifetimes, a big chunk of that conversion falls into the 10 or 12% bracket. You are converting at tax rates you will likely never see again. I had a client do this once, took a year off to take care of her mother, converted $80,000 from traditional to Roth, paid about $9,000 in federal tax on it. If she'd done that conversion in a normal working year, it would have cost her closer to $22,000. The gap year saved her $13,000 for doing exactly one thing differently on her tax return. Most people in a low-income year, I appreciate, are just trying to survive. Been there, done that. But if you can scrape the cash together for the tax bill, and the tax bill is the only real cost because you're moving money you already have, a gap year Roth conversion is one of the highest leverage moves in the American tax code, and no, you don't need to wait until retirement to be thinking about this. Hack number 6, appeal your property tax assessment. As many of you know, your town assesses your home's value. That assessment is the input to your property tax bill. Fewer of you know, you can appeal this, and even fewer of you know, in most towns in America, fewer than 5% of homeowners ever do. The ones who do win reductions about 40% of the time. It's a 45-minute process. You pull 3 or 4 comparable sales from the last year, houses in your neighborhood, similar square footage, similar lot size, that's sold for less than your town's assessment of your home. You fill out a form, you submit it. In some towns, you have to show up in person to a hearing that lasts about 6 minutes and involves a man named Stan who's been doing this since 1983. But potential savings are hundreds to thousands per year. Every year, forever. Because your assessment, once reduced, stays reduced until the next full town revaluation, which in Vermont happens roughly every 11 billion years, and in parts of New England I cannot name without getting sued, has apparently only happened once during the Carter administration. My father appealed his 5 years back, won a reduction of 8%. That saves him roughly $700 a year. Over 15 years, that's $10,500 for a 45-minute appeal. If someone offered you $10,000 to spend 45 minutes on a DMV-adjacent website, my guess is you would say yes so fast you would probably sprain something. This episode is brought to you by Gelt. Quick question. How did your CPA treat you this tax season? Did they reach out proactively, walk you through your options, and make you feel like a priority? Or did you hear from them in mid-March, feel rushed, and wonder afterward if you left money on the table? That second experience is not normal. You just haven't experienced a great CPA yet. A great CPA is a year-round partner, not a once-a-year fire drill. And Q2 is the best time to make a switch. Your new CPA has bandwidth, your numbers are fresh, and there's a full year ahead to make moves that actually matter. Gelt is offering 2 things for new clients who sign up before June 30th. If you filed an extension, a focused 30-minute session to find everything that can still impact your 2025 taxes before October. And for any new client onboarding in Q2, Gelt will go back through recent returns and find deductions you may have missed. Both are paid add-ons that often cost you nothing net by the time they're done. So if your CPA made you feel like an afterthought this season, go to joingelt.com/Tyler. That's joingelt.com/Tyler. Act 3. The Consumer Psychology Hacks. These are small moves that simply consist of pattern recognition and knowing the game. Hack number 7, the Costco price tag code. Now, before I say anything on this one, I will just say, dear Lord, I guess I've truly been living under a rock in the woods of Vermont because I had no idea the Costco tribe was as passionate about their Costco as it is. I posted 2 videos this past spring about the best and worst deals at Costco, and in 3 years of creating content, I have never, and I mean never, received as much negative feedback about treading on thin ice by even mentioning Costco as someone who's not officially part of the tribe. So as a preface to this section, I am always and forever literally just talking about financial education, and I make no claims on the values of Costco, the chemicals present or not present in their rotisserie chicken, and how valuable the Kirkland executive membership is or isn't to you and your brethren. So, this is me treading lightly, and I appreciate your kindness in advance. Costco is a system. The prices on the yellow tags mean things. They are a secret code that's not really a secret, but since many people don't read the tags, it is functionally secret. So for those who don't know about this, or need a reminder about this, here it is. Prices ending in 99 cents, regular price. No story, nothing interesting, buy it if you want it. Prices ending in 88 or 00, like $1,999 and no cents, those are display models or final sale items, usually appliances, TVs, furniture. The store is trying to clear them out. Prices ending in 97 cents, manager marked clearance. This is the money one. When you see a price ending in 0.97, the manager has personally marked it down because the item is either overstocked, discontinued, or seasonally obsolete. Savings are typically 30 to 50%. Also, a little star on the tag in the top right corner, lovingly known as the Death Star. That means the item is being discontinued from Costco's inventory, and once it's gone, it's gone. So if you love a specific brand of trash bag or hot sauce and you see a star, you better be hoarding it, baby. And my guess is you already are because you're a member of Costco. Hack number 8. Buy appliances the second week of September or the first week of May. New appliance models drop in October and June. Retailers tend to clear out old inventory 3 to 5 weeks before the new stuff lands. The markdowns are real, 20 to 40%. And because salespeople on the appliance floor work on commission tied to moving old stock, they will tend to be able to negotiate even further. You can often shave another 5% just by asking a human being at Lowe's if there's any more room. There usually is. Again, this involves simply asking and making it clear that you're looking for something slightly cheaper. This also works on mattresses, TVs, furniture, and for reasons I do not fully understand, gas grills. Something about the grill industry's calendar, I guess. Regardless, it's legit and it simply involves asking. Hack number 9. Price protection on credit card purchases. Now, this one is kind of a vanishing feature, so make sure you check yours specifically or give them a call. But many major credit cards have or have had a price protection window of 60 to 90 days. So if you bought something at one price and it drops to a lower price within the window, you can file a claim with your card company and they will refund the difference. Chase still does this on some cards. Amex offers a version of it. Citi has it on the Costco card and a few others. Nobody uses it because nobody knows about it. And some who do know about it don't use it because it's still a pain in the tush. But if you set a calendar reminder 45 days after any large purchase, price check it, and then file a claim, and if you have one of these cards that does this, there you go, you get the credit. A woman I know did file one of these on a television and got $240 back for the effort of one web form. To make this slightly more personal, the older I get, the more I realize that almost every edge in personal finance is a thing that I can set up once, forget about, and collect on consistently, while the people around me who didn't set it up continue to pay full freight forever. That's truly the logic of tiered pricing at its finest, and the companies will do it forever because, well, wouldn't you if people were simply willing to pay higher prices because they didn't know to ask for lower ones? Act 4. The power inversion hacks. I saved my favorite category for last. These are the ones I think of as the power inversions, because in each of them, you take a situation where the default assumption is the company has the power, and you can, put simply, and politely of course, flip that power dynamic on its head. Hack number 10, the chargeback before you call customer service. If a company screws you, and I mean that, if a company really screws you, they kept charging after you canceled, they shipped a damaged item and won't refund you, the hotel overcharged, your instinct is usually to call them first. Fight with them, escalate, talk to a manager. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. But here's the thing. Don't do that. Call your credit card first and file a chargeback. A chargeback is a formal dispute initiated at the card network level. When you file one, Visa or MasterCard freezes the charge, takes the money back from the merchant, and puts the burden of proof on the merchant to demonstrate the transaction was legitimate. If they can't prove it in a specified window, usually 45 days, you automatically win. Now, it should come as no surprise, merchants hate chargebacks. They hate them because they cost the merchant a fee just to contest one, and because too many chargebacks hurt the merchant's standing with the card networks, which affects their ability to process these cards at all. So the merchant has a very strong incentive to never let a chargeback happen. So here's what happens when you file one first. The company, realizing they are now losing the money automatically if they don't act, they usually call you pretty quickly because now you've got their attention. Now they want to negotiate. They suddenly have the time to fix the problem they didn't have the time to fix yesterday. You've just inverted the power dynamic entirely. Instead of sitting on hold, begging a company to please refund you for the thing you already paid for, the company is calling you, asking if there's any way to resolve this. This is the single most effective consumer move I have ever learned, and I learned it from a woman in Florida who had been in a prolonged dispute with a cruise line. She filed the chargeback, got a call back within 6 hours from an actual manager, and had her full refund and a free future cruise by the next morning. A cruise she later canceled and then filed a chargeback on the cancellation fee. Oh, I aspire to this woman's life. Hack number 11. The annual retention email to your credit card company. Once a year, I want you to send an email. Not a phone call. Email creates a paper trail they prefer to resolve quickly to your credit card company. I want you to ask for 2 things. First, a higher credit limit. This improves what's called your utilization ratio, which is simply how much of your credit you're using as a proportion of your credit limit, and which happens to be the single biggest driver of your credit score after payment history. Most cards will approve a limit increase of 20 to 50% if you've been a customer more than a year and haven't missed payments. Second, and this is the one almost nobody I know has ever done, ask for a retention bonus or statement credit. Amex in particular will potentially drop 10 to 30,000 membership rewards points into your account just for asking, if you've been a customer more than 2 years. Chase will sometimes do a $50 statement credit. Citi, slightly more miserly, but occasionally surprises. The email you need to write is very short. Hello, I've been a card holder since, insert your respective year. I value my relationship with, insert respective bank. But I've received offers from, insert respective competitor, and am evaluating my options. Is there anything you can offer in terms of a retention bonus, statement credit, or account review to ensure that I stay? That's it. You don't need to write a novel, and you certainly don't need to be obnoxious about it. I have personally harvested about 17,000 points a year doing this for the combined effort of maybe 4 minutes of typing. These points are worth roughly $300 in travel for 4 minutes of work. Are you noticing a trend yet? Hack number 12. Check your state's unclaimed property database. Every state has one, every single state. It is a public database of money and assets that were legally yours, but the holder, a bank, an employer, a utility company, an insurance company, was unable to deliver it to you. Maybe you moved and didn't update an address. Maybe an insurance payout was triggered and they couldn't find you. Maybe an old security deposit from a college apartment. Maybe an uncashed paycheck from a summer job in 2003. After a period of dormancy, usually 3 to 5 years, the holder is legally required to turn that money over to the state. The state then sits on it forever until you claim it. Go to unclaimed.org, which links to every state's official database. Search your name, search your spouse's name, search your parents' name, search your kids' names, heck, search your dog's names. Search the name of anyone or anything in your life who has ever moved, which is everyone. About 1 in 10 Americans has something waiting for them. The average claim is a few $100s, but some can be quite substantial. 5-figure life insurance payouts are surprisingly common. Do this. Do it this week, as I know many of you would love to have that money back from the wonderful state of Massachusetts. And lastly, hack number 13. Build a 2-credit card travel system. I want you to have 1 card with no foreign transaction fees for international travel, and 1 card with strong rewards for domestic spending. Most people carry 1 card everywhere, which means that every time they buy a coffee in Barcelona or a beer in Mexico City, they're eating a 3% foreign transaction fee on top of whatever bad exchange rate their bank happens to be running that day. 3% doesn't sound like much until you add up a 2-week trip with a couple $1,000s in spending and realize you've just paid $60 for the privilege of using your own money abroad. This fix is embarrassingly simple and can save you world traveling folks hundreds a year. Open a Capital One Venture, Chase Sapphire, or any card with a no foreign transaction fees badge and only use it internationally. Use your main rewards card at home. That's it. That's the whole hack. Yes, it is potentially beneath the intellectual dignity of a podcast this long, but it is also the single biggest unforced error I see in travelers who otherwise know what they're doing to financially optimize their lives. Okay, let's tally it all up. If you did all 13 of those at the magnitudes I quoted, the retention call, the 18-month insurance shop, the medical bill, the property tax appeal, the HSA, the Roth conversion, the Costco codes, the appliance timing, the price protection, the chargeback, the annual retention email, the unclaimed property, and the travel card setup, you are conservatively looking at between $3,000 and $8,000 a year in recovered money. Some of it one time, some of it annual, some of it compounding over decades in the case of the HSA. 4, I want to stress, no newly acquired skills, no new credentials, no new software, no particular financial acumen, just asking, knowing which door to knock on, and knocking. I think about this a lot because as a financial advisor, I had spent a large part of my career watching people, including very smart people, including people with enormous salaries, leave enormous amounts of money on the table because they didn't know the ask was possible. They assumed the posted price was the real price. They assumed the first number was the final number. They assumed that if there was a better deal, someone would have told them. Nobody was going to tell them. Nobody's going to tell you. The whole premise of modern consumer finance is that you will assume the brochure is the truth. The hacks in this episode all exist in the space between the brochure and the reality. Your job is to now close that gap. That's the episode. If you liked this one, share it with one person who you think is overpaying for something. Could be your parents, could be your brother-in-law, could be that one friend from college who makes very good money and still hasn't opened an HSA. Send it to them. That's how the show grows, and that's also how the lesson propagates, which is the whole point. And the book, Real Wealth, out December 1st from Norton, is all of this thinking, scaled up to the full picture of building a financial life based on your values and your goals. And if you pre-order now, you get the June incentive, the 3-part audio series that will not be posted to the public, that will contain 9 of the most intimate and potentially embarrassing moments that influenced my financial life to date. Link is in the show notes. And note, pre-orders are, for a book author, roughly 8 times more valuable than a normal sale. So, once again, wouldn't be living into this episode's philosophy if I didn't simply ask. Thank you for listening. Now go call your satellite radio company. As always, hope this gives you something to think about throughout the week ahead. Thanks for tuning in to your Money Guide on the Side. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to visit my website at tylergardner.com for even more helpful resources and insights. And if you are interested in receiving some quick and actionable guidance each week, don't forget to sign up for my weekly newsletter, where each Sunday I share 3 actionable financial ideas to help you take control of your money and investments. You can find the sign-up link on my website, tylergardner.com, or on any of my socials at socialcapofficial. Until next time, I'm Tyler Gardner, your money guide on the side, and I truly hope this episode got you one step closer to where you need to be.